For the next little bit, we are going to talk about resources that Omega Phi Alpha has available for chapters. So during this presentation, we're going to cover a variety of categories of resources like operational, financial, leadership and training, service, traditions, communications. I would just want to give a little caveat that this might not cover every single thing that we do have available to you all, but we wanted to give you like a good overview of all the resources that are available and give you some time to ask questions if there's a specific resource that you're looking for, anything like that. So let's jump in. So first, we're going to talk about operational resources. Obviously, OPhiA portal is our membership database. So this is a database that every member of the organization can use, new members, even prospective new members from expansions groups, new members, active members and alumni. And this is where, our headquarters operation is stored. So all the files that you all will need to know anything about the organization can be found on OPhiA portal. So in the files section, you'll find standard operating procedures. So our standard operating procedures cover a lot of different things that we do in Omega Phi Alpha. It's really helpful just for even like a cursory review of them to understand what some of our procedures are. All of the national policies are also on OPhiA portal under files. Often there's some confusion about national policies because there were only 3 that were listed in the Constitution. So often there were 3 that were listed in local constitutions, but I think we have 8 national policies. So taking them out of the Constitution, which we did following business at convention, allows us to move all of them into policy documents that you all can find online. There's also a lot of how-to videos, like how to use OPhiA portal videos, because I know it's been a big transition and sometimes it's a little confusing. And additionally, Greek Track, that the company that powers OPhiA portal, has training sessions. They pop up on your screen when you log into your chapter. On the right-hand side, all the upcoming training sessions. If there's not a little box there, then none have been scheduled. But as we get back to school, you'll see some. And you can register and attend any of them. I think if you register, you get a recording, even if you can't attend. Another operational resource is OPhiA 101, which is a course on OPhiA portal. So we created this course about, yeah, thank you, Taylor. Yeah, raise your hand if you have questions. That way I can stop. I can't see all of you when I'm presenting, so it's helpful if you do raise your hand, and feel free to jump in and ask the question. So about 1.5 years ago, we created some videos for OPhiA portal. So the national membership team recorded all of OPhiA 101 so that it's standardized and every single person gets the same education. And the reason for this was at Convention 2019, there were a few debates about policies and procedures of the organization. And it came to light during that time that OPhiA 101 was being taught very differently at every chapter. So, some people thought, this is just one example, some people thought we were a dry sorority because Susan Turgeon was killed in a car accident from a drunk driver. There was like things that I had never heard before that like all were coming through. And it was like, wait, where did you learn this? And people were saying like OPhiA 101 or OPhiA 101, I learned this. And another person was like, I've never heard that. So it just helped us to see that like OPhiA 101 took on a life of its own at chapters over the years, and that it would be really beneficial for us to streamline it. So OPhiA 101 is on OPhiA portal. That just makes it easier for operationalizing new member education. Jenna is going to be leading a workshop for membership directors this weekend, all about how you can facilitate OPhiA 101. We have a presentation called Chapter Management 101. It's not available on OPhiA portal, but this is a great presentation and little workshop that reviews the basic information of chapter functions and chapter requirements. It really does cover like back to the basics for how a chapter should be run. So reach out to your chapter health contact to get more information. If you have a chapter health specialist assigned to your chapter, Jenna, April, or Stormy, reach out to those people, or if you don't, you can reach out to Taylor. So the National Constitution and Bylaws is the governing documents of our organization, and they provide a framework for how we operate the organization. So a ton of questions could be answered in the Constitution and Bylaws. I frequently get questions from anyone, active members, alumni members, national team members, and they're like, well, what does this mean? And my response is like, oh, that's in the Constitution. So if you haven't read the National Constitution and Bylaws lately, I strongly encourage you to do so. These are some of the common questions I get from members. So what does honorary membership mean? Like, what do you get if you're an honorary member? That's spelled out for you in the Constitution. And I would look in the Constitution to give you that answer. And then like, when is a member allowed to take LOA? There's some information about that in the Constitution and additional information in the bylaws. If you have an issue with a member that needs to be disassociated, maybe the member's ghosted, there's different types of disassociation, right? So you can read all about those in the Constitution and the standard operating procedures. So they're complementary to each other. And then if you just want to know, like, what are the requirements? What are my requirements as a member? What are requirements of new members? All of that is in the Constitution and Bylaws. So I just wanted to plug that here, that it's great for you to review that. It has been updated since convention, and it is already posted on OPhiA portal files. So again, standard operating procedures, we often call them SOPs. So if you hear us say that, that's what we're talking about. They are standalone documents from the Constitution and Bylaws, but they often support the information. All the SOPs, again, are on OPhiA portal under files and national operations. So these are just some of the things that are covered in SOPs. Again, they answer a lot of questions. So I would say before you reach out with a question, please feel empowered to find the information that you're looking for. And then if you've exhausted everything to find it, reach out. Policies, again, are on OPhiA portal under national operations. It's really, really, really important that you share this with all of your members, all of your officers. So going into the beginning of the semester is a great time to either review national policies with your chapter, all of your members, or send out the links for them to view them, just so we cover our bases and make sure all of our members know what the policies are. Then we have this really cool operational tool called Survival Guide for Small Chapters. I think many of you have used this or will be using it, but we recognize that smaller chapters, often what we call our endangered chapters, they need more assistance than some of our other chapters. So I think last year is when we created this survival guide for these chapters. So it covers everything you can imagine that is chapter operations related. So you can see, here's a screen grab from it on membership retention. It's how do you even evaluate your active membership? How do you engage your membership? There's an entire section in here on recruitment and how you have conversations with potential new members at recruitment, what questions you can ask. I mean, it really breaks it all the way down. So this is available for everyone. It's not limited to small chapters. I think we've sometimes sent it to chapters and said oh, you should review, this section. But if you are a small chapter, I think it's especially important because sometimes we see not just membership decline with small chapters, but also just officer transitions sometimes are lacking because officers get burned out. They're holding a lot of different officer positions for a long time. So there's a lot of transition information and how to log the historical information that the next person may need. So this is a great resource. And then Parliamentary Procedure is a great operational resource. If you went to convention, you became a little more familiar with Parliamentary Procedure. It's obviously really hard to make decisions when you have lots of people, especially I think there's a lot of people who have a lot of opinions, which is great, and have a lot of feelings and things that they want to share. So Parliamentary Procedure is really helpful when you are trying to make decisions in a meeting. Carly, I see your question. Where can we find their survival guide? I'm 99% sure that it's on OPhiA portal under chapter operations, but I will double check after this and add it there if it's not. So we have a lot of resources around parliamentary procedure. I know it's complicated. We encourage our chapters to modify a form of parliamentary procedure that works best for your chapter. As a national organization, we use Robert's Rules of Order. And we have a training on how to use Robert's Rules of Order. And then we also have like a little guide that's like the principles of Robert's Rule. And then we have a cheat sheet that has the common motions. We have sample rules of the day. We have a lot of little guides, short guides that can help your chapter adopt some form of parliamentary procedure so that you can make decisions easily at your meetings. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Any questions about operational resources before we move to financial resources? You can also share if there are operational resources that are missing that you would like to see. We welcome feedback. Okay. If there are no questions, let's talk about financial resources. I tried to keep this section as short as possible because all of these things are going to be covered over the weekend with chapter treasurers. So this is really just, again, like an overview. There's so much more information. If you're here and you're a treasurer, we're going to get you a lot of information this weekend. First, I wanted to talk about dues waivers in terms of like financial resources that the national organization offers to our members. So we offer dues waivers to members who are experiencing an extreme financial hardship and receive a local dues waivers as a result of that. And then they complete the application and recommendation form. So these are the dues and fees that are eligible for a national dues waiver. And we do have a limit of 4 semesters for each person to receive a dues waiver. There's a whole dues waiver presentation this weekend, so more to come. The national organization also offers a recruitment assistance fund. It's a pool of money. Right now it's $1,200, and we offer this to chapters in need. We know that sometimes it can be really hard for chapters to afford recruitment assistance. Sometimes chapters find themselves, especially those with low membership, find themselves in a position where they don't have a lot of dues money because they don't have very many members. So it's really hard for them to budget for recruitment. And recruitment obviously is a vital function to improve your membership, increase your membership, and improve your chapter. So we do offer an application. The application is on OPhiA portal. And it will be closing soon because I think on Monday it closes because we're going to be reviewing the applications and notify chapters. So if your chapter is in a financial situation or a hard spot where you could really use some funds for recruitment this semester, you can fill out the application and we will be getting back to chapters in the next couple of weeks with how much money we are going to offer. And there is a standard operating procedure that explains all of it. Sydney, that's a great question. I think that the board determined that it was 4 semesters total, but I will circle back to that because that's a great question. Sydney is asking, does it include your new member semester or just 4 active semesters? So let me write that down. And it did start over. So if you've already received dues waivers, we're going to start counting them this semester. So I'll clarify that. We also have created a fundraising manual. Fundraising is super hard, you guys. It's so hard. And I know, especially if your chapter is struggling and you're like desperate for fundraisers, it can still be really hard to get fundraisers that work. We ask our chapters to submit their most successful fundraisers or all the fundraising activity that they did on their annual report. And I was just looking through it for some of our new chapters. And it's so interesting because some of you are doing like 5 or 6 fundraisers a semester and getting a really small amount for each one, which is great that you're like, I'm going to keep doing this to fundraise. And also we want to make sure, like, we want to help you create the most successful fundraisers possible. So we have a whole manual all about different fundraising options, things you can do, how you can create fundraising plans. So it's really, it's really comprehensive to help you all plan the best fundraisers possible. You are required to host 2 fundraisers a year, one for your convention fund, sending people to convention, and another for your general operating fund. So keep that in mind. You do have to have 2 fundraisers a year, and one, the money raised needs to be earmarked for convention. So creating and managing a chapter budget is a huge responsibility, and a huge responsibility for the chapter treasurer. So we have a document all about banking and budgeting best practices. Again, later today, we will have a session for treasurers all about budgeting. It's extremely comprehensive. We will record that and make it available. So if any officer wants to watch it and better understand how your chapter should be budgeting, we will do that. And then coming soon is a budget template for chapters to use. We do ask chapters to submit their chapter budget every fall. And last year, I think it was, we got a variety. Some of you have rainbow chapter budgets, which are very pretty. And then some people have just like a Apple Note budget. And so we've started to notice a need to sort of standardize some type of budget template, so chapters won't have to create this from scratch. So coming soon. And then another financial resource is that the organization is funding chapter health assistance. So we have Taylor, who is the chapter health manager and is paid for her work. And then Jenna, April, and Stormy, seen on the screen, also are paid for their work as chapter health specialists. And this, I think most of you who are here could probably say that this initiative of this chapter health program has been extremely beneficial to your chapter, especially if you have received the one-on-one chapter health assistance. I think every chapter has reported that it has been really instrumental in their chapter's health. So we are going to keep going with this program, and we have given the chapter health team a budget for assisting chapters in person at retreats or through trainings, as well as providing additional financial support and resources to chapters on a chapter assistance plan. Any questions about chapter health or financial resources? All right, let's talk about leadership and training resources. Some of these you probably already know about, but we're going to cover them just in case. So Omega Phi Alpha has 6 core values. They are seen on the screen here. And a couple of years ago, we started receiving some questions from our members about well, what we say this is our value, but what do we mean by this? What do we mean by this core value? And then we started to notice that our service program at our chapters was really struggling. And we sort of transitioned. So we went from approving every 60% project. I don't know if you've been around long enough to remember that time when you had to submit all of your projects for approval by the national service team. And then when COVID hit, we decided that no one had the capacity to do that. Chapters didn't, our national volunteers did not have the capacity to approve service projects. So we made this decision to return that autonomy back to chapters. And we did this with the understanding that it might result in a lot less service and a lot less impactful service. But in some ways, we were just all trying to survive, and we wanted our chapters and members to survive and not be, really bound to this national requirement. And service moved mostly virtual. It was really challenging. And so as we've come out of that, we've started or have moved away from that in some way. We have started to notice that service, a lot of our chapters are doing service that don't fit into the intent of the value of service. So the board of directors took some time to define what every area of service is and what that should look like. And then we did the same for everything else. So what is leadership as a core value? What is diversity and inclusion? So embrace a spirit of diversity embrace the diversity of our members through a spirit of inclusion. Like that's our diversity and inclusion core value. So with that, we created a little training guide and like one-pager document that explains the core values and their defining statements. So we are a values-based organization. We're a service-first organization. And I think it's really important for all of our members and especially our officers that are leading our chapters to understand what Omega Phi Alpha's core values are. We also have the leadership development program. This program has been around for a really long time. I think like 10 years ago, the LDP was conceptualized. And then there's been so many people throughout the last decade who have been working on bringing this program to life in a different way. So we used to really use this at convention and at district summit, previously district rallies, and would really focus on leadership development at those events. And maybe 5 years ago, we started really working to build out a database or like a course of these modules. So they have been online for a while, but they used to be on a website that was very complicated. So when we moved to OPhiA portal, we got the course module on OPhiA portal so that we could move it here. And over the last year, Sarah Lewis, our leadership development program coordinator, or our outgoing leadership development program coordinator, has put all of this, she put so much work into it and put all of it on OPhiA portal. So there's one for active members and one for alumni members, and it covers all of our core values. So you can see we have 6 core values. There's 6 modules of the leadership development program. And we just encourage you to complete this. It doesn't change that frequently. So if you've already completed something, it's the same material, but it's a great thing to do. It would be a great like sisterhood bonding project. It would be great for retreat to do leadership development program. Some of our new chapters, I think, are requiring a module each semester. So it's just a great learning experience for our members and really is roots in that core value of leadership and education. So we have a ton of officer manuals, a lot of them. I think I found all the manuals that we currently have. So we have a president, a VP, a service director, a membership director, treasurer, prospective new member, fundraising, banking, and there's a ton of expansions manuals for them as well. So you can see on the service one that we've moved all of like the areas of service into the manual. There used to be like an area of service guide and we moved them into the manual. And so we have like examples of every area of service projects you can do. And the examples are like pre-approved projects. So they're projects that we feel comfortable with your chapter doing. I think this is in process of being updated a little bit. And so we have been trying to just link them instead of download them and upload them. We've just been linking the document so that as we update it, you all just use the same link. So you can find the links to access them on OPhiA portal under chapter operations. Actually, I think they get tagged to your position. So it's just under like your officer files too. So yeah, we're constantly updating them as things change. So you can just keep clicking the link and you don't have to keep downloading, and old manuals don't stick around. We also have career development resources. Laura Craig is our career development coordinator. She's a member volunteer, and she has put together a lot of really great career advice and tips that will be helpful as you all move into the next phase of your life. And then we have a lot of training workshops. I actually was just creating the list last night. There's a ton of them. So the chapter health team and previously the chapter support team is what they used to be called, created a lot of training workshops based on the needs of chapters in the past and currently. So a member of the team, whether that's me or Taylor or someone else on her team or Alexa as the National Service Program Coordinator, Director, we are so happy to accommodate any requests that you have. So if you reach out and say, my chapter is really struggling with XYZ, I need help. We are so happy to create a workshop and give you the help that you need based on your chapter at the moment. These are just some of the trainings that we already have. Like I said, I think last night when I was putting them together for the expansion team, I think there was something like 25 training workshops. So there's a lot. Okay, any questions about leadership development training? Okay, let's talk about service resources. Like I mentioned, there used to be area of service guides, and we moved all of that information into the service director manual. So if you are a service director or you just want to review what the approved service projects are, you can look in the service director manual and it's all listed. And if your chapter needs help with planning a project, an example, I think last semester, the semester before, we had some service directors reach out saying they were really struggling with the President's Project and planning projects that fit into that weren't like just donation or financial based projects. So they reached out and we helped come up with a solution. And Alexa Forbes is as I mentioned, our service program director on the national level, and is really, really, really amazing with service and service ideas and service planning. So her email is on the screen. You can reach out to her with any questions. And then, because we have had some feedback about the President's Project being challenging, I think for the past like 4 or 5 years, we've put together an annual President's Project guide. So we prepare a comprehensive guide to serving through that year's President's Project. Typically, we include some like details about why the project was chosen, an overview, like any definitions that we need to cover, the intent of the project, like what does the president intend for the impact to be when they selected this as their project. And then we give you project ideas and organizations to serve. So this is a little screenshot from this year's President's Project Guide. So you can see some ideas that we have: a book club in your chapter, reading books about the issues of human rights. And we've recommended a lot of books. Awareness campaigns, we've recommended a lot of different awareness campaigns, writing elected officials. But this is not like all inclusive. There are other things that you can do, but I do think it's helpful if you're like, oh, can I do this? Is this the President's Project? Just reach out to Alexa and ask. We can verify for you. I don't think the President's Project Guide is on OPhiA portal. I think Alexa, oh, it is. Okay, she's here. Thank you. It is on OPhiA portal. I think it was sent out to all service directors too, but anyone can view it from OPhiA portal. Okay, National Service Week is a guide that we have available. National Service Week is the first full week in November. The National Service team typically prepares a theme or an organization that we want to support for National Service Weeks. And then we send out information to chapters with an updated guide based on that. So last year was the first time we did National Service Week since 2017. And so we changed it up a lot, and we wanted to make sure, I think it was hard because it was like a whole new group of people. You guys had never done National Service Week before. You didn't know what it was. So we took the opportunity to really create this guide that walks you through all the steps, all the information that you need for National Service Week. So we will follow up with service directors as it gets closer, but you can see it has a full timeline on like in late September, you should be choosing your project. Early October, you should be doing outreach and assigning project duties. So we really give you everything for your service week to be successful. And then, as you all may or may not know, we do have a national service partnership with RAIN. It expires on November 1st. We haven't made a decision about whether or not we will extend our partnership or if we will partner with a different organization. If you all have organizations that you would love to see us partner with, drop it in the chat. I'll take note of it because I would be happy to engage a different organization for the next year as well. We have a traditions workshop coming up later during Officer Leadership Academy, but I wanted to talk about some general resources. So we do have song files and lyrics. And if you weren't at convention, you may not know that we did have some songs re-recorded recently. So the national song, Pass It On, and Tribute to OPhiA have all been re-recorded and are like amazing song files now. So they're not fuzzy or cracked. You know, the sound doesn't crack. They're really awesome. And they're all on OPhiA portal. You can download them. And then there's a ton of other different songs. Some of them I don't even know. Like I scroll through them and I'm like, I've never heard this song. But you can download any of them if you want to take on a new song at your chapter. There's lots to choose from. I think there's like 30 songs. And then all of the lyrics are available as well. So there's a few different lyric sheets, but if you guys have questions, let us know. We do have a ceremonies manual. So if you just need some help remembering how to lead a ceremony, or you have new officers coming in who need a refresher, or it's time to lead a senior ceremony, you know, you need someone to help you with that, you can get them the senior ceremony from the ceremonies manual. It is available on OPhiA portal. And then coming soon, where Taylor is working on event planning guides for all different types of events that chapters will be planning or already plan. So stay tuned for that. And then we do have details for District Summit planning and the new District Summit standard operating procedure. So if you have questions about what District Summit means or looks like now, that's all in the new SOP. Any questions about traditions, resources before we move on to communications? Taylor loves to help plan, she says, so reach out to her. Okay, let's talk about communications resources. So branding and logos, this is something that's really important to our organization. And every chapter has their own chapter logo. It's the Omega Phi Alpha and it has your chapter name underneath it. And all those logos are available for download on OPhiA portal. We are truly so happy to provide all of you with all of the information that you need about branding. So if you need color codes for your Canva account, or you need symbols or backgrounds or anything, we would love to give that to you. We do have brand guidelines. They are published on OPhiA portal, so you can check them out. They were updated in 2021. So they're very up to date. And sometimes we notice a need for like a different logo, like this logo that's on the screen. I had a need for this without the light blue behind the B. So we have that now, but it might not be like readily available. So if you need something, we have the logo in white, black, the B by itself. We have the B in every color. So we have a ton of stuff. So if you're sitting around thinking that B is cute, but it would be cuter in that pink color, we've got that. We can get it to you. And I wanted to talk about merchandise. This has like long been a point of like contention and question in the organization. So I wanted to talk about this. We do have a little guide, best practices for apparel and merchandise orders. This is on OPhiA portal under merchandise and branding. So you can download it there. But Omega Phi Alpha is a registered trademark. So we control and license that name and the logo. So we often get questions from chapters like, oh, why can't I order from like Joe Schmo in the corner? Because they're probably not a licensed vendor. Anyone can become a licensed vendor. So if you work with someone in your college town, that is great. You can ask them to become a licensed vendor. There's a link in this guide, greeklicensing.com/licensing. They can apply to be a licensed vendor there. We do get money. So like a portion of our revenue, the sorority's revenue, it's a tiny portion, like 0.05% of our revenue, but we do get revenue from licensed merchandise sales. So by using licensed vendors, you are helping bring in revenue for the sorority and keeping your national dues low. So we appreciate it if you do use licensed vendors. Recently at convention, we announced Shop OPhiA. So shopOPhiA.com is the new Rose Shop, if you will. We're not calling it Rose Shop anymore. So it's shopOPhiA.com, and everything you see on that website is licensed through a licensed vendor. So that's a great place to order. And then another thing that I just wanted to mention here is that you may not know this, but some licensed vendors will design for free. So I know designing t-shirts is like super fun for some of our PR officers, but also you don't have to spend a lot of time on that because you can just reach out to the licensed vendor. Like I think South by Sea does this. I think University Tees does it. You can just reach out to them and say, I really like this shirt, but I want it to be custom to Omega Phi Alpha, or I like this part of this shirt and this part of this shirt. Can you combine them? And they design for free. So that could save you some time. Yes. Yeah, licensed vendors can be small businesses. They just have to follow. And I'm not sure, Alex, like if there's a fee for licensing. I haven't looked into it, but right here, this link is where they can go check it out. So yeah, it can be like an Etsy shop could be a licensed vendor for sure. And I know sometimes we like print stickers and things that go around licensed vendors. You know, I'm not the vendor police. I'm not the merchandise license police. I really, you know, it is what it is. But for like group large purchases, it would be great if we used a licensed vendor. I think it's my job to tell you that. And Shop OPhiA is super cute. So just order everything there. It's adorable. Okay, and then another communications resource is blogs. This is twofold. One, any member can write a blog and submit them for consideration on the national website. So if you want to build like a writing portfolio, you want to say you've been published somewhere, you can use this link. I will drop it in the chat. And you can submit a blog. You can also submit chapter service project updates, recruitment recaps, like share your success story, share what was amazing. We would love to post that on the blog. You can talk about a member who has impacted you and done a lot for you. You can share about what you've learned here at Officer Leadership Academy. If someone wants to write a recap, we love that. A lot of the blogs are written by myself or Taylor or someone on the board. So we welcome you all to write blogs. We would encourage it. And additionally, there's so much information about the sorority on the blog. So if you're wondering, like, what was the President's Project in 2015, you'll find that on the blog. So anything that you want to know, we try to put on the blog. Like someone was asking me something recently about like officer positions. And I was like, oh, I just wrote a blog about that. So always check the blog. It's a great resource for things that have changed. And then finally, I want to talk about national team. If you have merchandise specific questions, drop them in the chat. I'll come back to them. But a final resource is the national team. So we have, a headquarters team here. So I wanted to show you guys what that looks like. So this is the general organizational structure. So members are at the top. All of our members are represented by voting delegates at convention. And yeah, I see what you put in the chat. I'm going to respond to that in just a second, Carly. So for organizational structure, so the members are represented by voting delegates at convention. And then under the members hold accountable the foundation and the board of directors. And then the board of directors holds accountable the managing director, myself. And then under that, we have directors and managers and coordinators and specialists. So we have people that I hold accountable as well. Okay, so the board of directors, there are 5 people on the board: the national president, the VP finance, VP communications, programs, and lifetime membership. And then we do have some paid contractors. I mentioned this earlier. So I'm a paid contractor. Virginia, our national office administrator, I'm sure you've heard from her. She is paid. And then we have Taylor, the chapter health manager, and we have 3 chapter health specialists. And then we have a volunteer leadership team. So we have a national standards board director. We have a national events director, program director, service director, membership director, diversity and inclusion director, and a communications director. And I just want to take a minute to say that some of these people are volunteering so much of their time to change Omega Phi Alpha and to move us into the future. So please be kind when you reach out to them. And if you do have the opportunity to work with them, express your gratitude, especially if you do have gratitude for what they're helping you with, because they are members who are volunteering their time and talent. I try to express my gratitude to all of them, even the paid people, because I could not do my job without these people. But I think this is really a special thing about our organization, is that we do have so many members who volunteer their time to help us. So some of these, and then you see all the coordinator positions under the directors. Some of these positions are open and they're not limited to alumni members. So if you're ever interested in volunteering on the national team, there's an application on OPhiA portal. We do have some other positions that the national president oversees. We have a legal advisor. Actually, our legal advisor is an alumni member of the sorority. We have a legislation committee coordinator and a nominating committee coordinator in years where we need them. So like next year, we'll have a nominating committee coordinator, and then the next year we'll have a legislation committee coordinator. And then the VP of Finance oversees 2 other contracted positions. We have a bookkeeper and then a CPA who files our taxes for us. Well, prepares our taxes for filing. So in general, when we're talking about the national team, we're talking about the board of directors and the operational leadership team. But most of the people on the national team that you all interact with on a regular basis are people on the OLT, that operational leadership team. So when we talk about OLT, that's who we're talking about. The main chapter contact is still like your chapter CSC email. We no longer have CSCs, but we kept those emails and they're forwarded to the appropriate person for your chapter. So if you use your CSC email, you'll either reach Taylor, Stormy, Jenna, or April. And if you don't get a response or you're confused, you can always reach out to Taylor, chapterhealth@omegaphialpha.org. And Taylor can direct you to the right place. I also can direct you to the right place as well. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I think this is the end of the line for this presentation, and I would love to know what questions you all have about resources or any specific resources. So feel free to raise your hand or just come off mute. Carly, I see that, yeah, Taylor responded. So Casey is a communications director and she can get any color codes and logos for you. I would also say double check the brand guide. I scrolled through it the other day, but I can't remember if it had like all of the, I'm going to look now, color codes in it. You can't download the logos from there. So if you need logos, you definitely have to ask. I don't see the brand guide on OPhiA portal, so I'll put that on there. Questions? Carly has a question. Go for it.
Sorry, I feel like I'm asking all the questions, but
great. Somebody else might not be asking them and you're helping them.
Yeah. So I was told when I transitioned that there was like a possibility, or that there was like a service director course on OPhiA 101 or like on Greek Track, and I have not seen it under like my courses. So I wanted to make sure I was, 1, going to the right place, or 2, that it was even there, because I haven't been able to find it.
Yeah, it was outdated. So Alexa has been, is Alexa still here? Has been working on updating it. Hi, you're here. I have 2 screens. Can you respond to Carly?
Yeah, so I just finished updating it. It'll be open tomorrow, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more when we go out into our breakout rooms too.
Thank you. Yeah, so you're not missing anything. It was there and we took it away so that we could update it. Who else? Oh, is there a way to receive help? This is a private question I got, with designing our chapter's Instagram. Yes. first, that I think there's two ways to get help. One way is that some of our chapters are killing it with the Instagram. So some chapters, there are chapters that could help you. And then Corey, the expansions manager, has put together some resources. I'm going to drop his email in the chat. I think he's on vacation next week. So if you don't hear from him, that's why. But yeah, definitely reach out. We're happy to help you. So that's a great question. And then I see that Abby is asking, is there a proper method to sourcing branded paper content like stickers and pamphlets? Is that something the chapters design and print through other resources? Abby, that is a wonderful question. And I do want to say that we have, so if you're asking for recruitment purposes, we do already have some like little note cards and pamphlets designed for recruitment purposes. I would be happy to share those with you. And I think that's a great request that you can put into Casey. She loves to do stuff like that. So I think if the timing is right, she could definitely help you create some branded print materials. And then you can print through other sources. We don't have guidelines on how you print. We use Alpha Graphics a lot on the national level. And then we also use like Staples and Office Depot. So we don't have guidelines on that, but we would love to help you design it. So same email, comdirector. You can also use communications@omegaphialpha.org if that's easier. That goes to Casey as well. Great question. Anyone else? Now is a good time for any general OPA questions that you want to ask. Yeah, great point, Taylor. Campuses give organizations free printing privileges up to a certain amount. And I think I've heard, like, don't individual students get a certain amount of free print each semester too? So sometimes chapters will like get several members to print things. Emily, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, my question was just probably not, it's probably very, I don't know what I'm saying. So
Just ask.
as far as like button stuff,
Mhm.
would that go under merchandise or would that go under like paper print materials?
Oh, ordering buttons. We have some
Or
buttons.
like even just the designs, because somebody in our
Yeah.
chapter has a button making machine or whatever. It's just the designs is what we're worried about.
Okay, we can approve your designs. That would be a good approval for Casey. Since you wouldn't be doing it through a licensed vendor, it wouldn't go through the approval. So that would be a good thing to get approved. Yeah. Okay, one more minute here. What other questions do you all have? Okay. Hearing no, oh, wait. Yes, I already recorded the presentation, and we also recorded it here today. So we are going to upload, we're going to basically create a course on OPA portal titled Officer Leadership Academy, and then we'll have modules for each officer position, and we will share all the presentations from this weekend. And I can even try to link in like all the specific resources. Taylor and I are real tired after convention and coming into Officer Leadership Academy planning. So be patient with us. It might take us a couple of weeks to get it. We're trying to make it through this weekend and then maybe like rest for a couple of days. And then we will put everything on OPA portal. So yes, we'll be sharing it. It's a great question. And everyone that is doing breakout workshops today is either going to record the live breakout session or record it after. So literally every workshop that we're presenting this weekend will be recorded. All right. Do we need a short little break? Like a 3-minute bio break, water, drink, refill, snack? We could take a 3-minute break. We could come back at the top of the hour for our next activity.